move on now to a very important component of your AQ response. If you want to do well for your AQ, you must evaluate. Now, some of you may wonder, how do I evaluate? Is there any framework? Now, this could be useful in prompting your evaluation process in your mind when you're brainstorming for ideas. You might want to ask yourself the 5 W1H questions. The what, the who, the when, the why, the where, as well as the how, right? This could be interwoven with the next few questions for evaluation. For instance, you might want to ask yourself, what are the features of my society that will make that particular issue from the author's text relevant or not relevant? Another question to ask yourself is the time question. Have things changed? Are the issues that the author is discussing more relevant today in my society? If it is, why? If it's not, why not? And what is the long-term impact? Is there a short-term impact which is better than the long-term impact? Another question to ask yourself is, what are the recent developments that have occurred today and which have affected my society with respect to that particular issue I'm evaluating? Yet another question to ask is, who are the stakeholders? Who are the ones affected? Who are the ones involved? Are we expecting the government to show empathy to the individuals? Why not? Another question to ask yourself is to look into the issue of perspectives, values, beliefs, attitude. Ask yourself, are there differences in the way the same issue is viewed by different people? If it's so, why is that so? Is it because of vested interests? Is it because they have their own agenda? Of course, in addition to evaluating ideas, you will also want to ensure you use the language of evaluation in your AQ response. So words like not logical, irrelevant. If you want to consider balance, you might want to use words like there is some validity or there's some merit in the author's point, but it's largely not true in the Singaporean context. So qualify your evaluations. Now, we have looked at explanation and evaluation, but these two are really not isolated. In fact, many a times they overlap. One of the ways to identify tensions for evaluation and contextualization is to look at the tension between conservative Singaporeans and those who want Singaporeans to be more open-minded and more liberal. Another tension to look into is that the Singapore society is based on meritocracy, and yet some people, some groups are perceived as being elitist. Yet another tension is that Singapore prides itself as a multicultural, cosmopolitan nation, welcoming foreign talent, and yet there's an increased xenophobic sentiment. These are two other tensions that you might also want to consider. Can you see how the writer weaves in characteristics of Singapore society? And over here, modern yet curiously conservative, a nice tension, followed by paternalistic government. So evaluation and contextualization for explanation often come together. Can you do the same thing in your own AQ? Finally, coherence. That's crucial. Essentially, you have to look at your AQ and decide, have you ensured a very clear position or stand with respect to the question requirements? Did you consider balance without contradicting your own stand? And of course, you need to have an intro and a conclusion, a very quick, brief conclusion that ties up your stand.